Good morning and welcome to Book Club Corner, where every Wednesday we chat with local Caribbean diaspora authors, publishers, lovers of the written word, and we talk to them about their work, about their books, about the publishing and literary industry and sector and how it's going. So today we have with us a fantastic guest. I know him well. We have with us Mr. Stuart Fortuny, and Stuart is the author of From Ibadan to Heliard. I think it's Ibadan, right? And as well, he's the co-host of the Big Potato podcast. He's the marketing and business consultant for a number of entities, and he has a master's in international business development. He also holds a Bachelor of Science in Management Studies. Welcome, Stuart.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
It's lovely to have you.
I'm also the marketing director of the Tobago Writers Guild.
Of course, and I did say I was going to make sure I mentioned it because I left it off. He's our marketing director for the guild, and he does a fantastic job. We're lucky to have him. Stuart, what we drinking today? Because you know how we do it on Book Club Corner. We have to sip and chat. And I am having some of LLW's exotic wine. I'm having rosemary wine. What are you having, Stuart? I'm seeing something in that glass.
I don't want to mention the name because it's not local. If it was local, I would mention it.
Okay.
So it's a foreign, bubbly beverage. It's too early in the morning for this, but cheers to you, Joel, and all the audience.
It's happy hour somewhere. We're uniting the globe. Cheers to you, Stuart.
Thank you.
I'm having some rosemary wine, and we usually do the 5 S's of wine tasting, where we look at the wine, right? And this one has a really nice yellow, mild yellow color, right? It looks kind of giving you a white wine kind of look. And then we swirl the wine. We look for the legs.
Yes.
Right, where we look at the legs. Yes, the legs are telling you the sugar content. So when you swirl, you're looking at how it's running down the glass. If there are plenty of those, what they call legs, that means it's very sweet. The less legs, the less sweet the wine is. And then we sniff the wine.
Yes. Flowery.
Yeah, well, this rosemary wine is one of my favorite from LLW. And this one is very tricky. It makes you feel as if you're going to be getting something flowery and sweet. And then when you taste it, it's medium. Well, I've had it already. That's how I know. But then the last 2 S's are sip and savor. I really enjoy this wine. I'll tell you why. Rosemary has health benefits. Some of it is it's supposed to be. Please, I'm not a medical doctor. Don't go anywhere and say, Jewel from Book Club Corner. See, right? Rosemary wine will grow here. Rosemary can grow here. It's good for memory. And I love the scent of it. Some people like it for cooking as well. All right, so it works well in your pot. And with a lot of dishes. Yes, a lot of dishes. If you're into fish and, you know, the red meats and so on. Rosemary, just give you a nice steak. Anyway, we are getting into this book that you have, Stuart. And let me tell you, we're heading into the carnival season. We're going to be past the carnival season soon, and there's so much to discuss about your book. But before we get into it, we're going on a quick break because we like to give the viewers, wherever they may be viewing from, Trinidad and Tobago, Dominica, Curacao, wherever across the Caribbean and in the diaspora, we like to give you all an opportunity, if you missed it, to get your snacks, get your drink, and come right back to Book Club Corner. So we're going on a quick break. Go take your bathroom break, go grab your snack, and come right back here to Book Club Corner, where we're chatting with Mr. Stuart Fortuny. We'll see you in a few minutes. Welcome back to Book Club Corner, where every Wednesday, right in beautiful Scarborough, Tobago, we chat with a local author. And we have with us today the amazing marketing guru, right, and consultant, Stuart Fortuné. He's a first-time author, and the name of his book is From Ibadan to Heliard. Welcome back, Stuart.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us here today. Stuart, tell us about your experience as a first-time author. This is your debut novella, right? And
yes.
What I want you to share with our viewers is, one, what is a novella? And two, what was your experience as a first-time author in terms of that feeling of hearing, your book is published, you've now accomplished your goal. What is a novella, and tell us about that experience of being a first-time author.
Okay, well, yes, I am a first-time author, so everything is on a learning curve. So generally, I would have told people I'm writing a book, but only when I really came across it and hired my editor, then she indicated to me that it's not really, it is a book, but in terms of word count, it will fall into certain categories. So there's a novella, which I believe it's up to 50,000 words or so. I mean, it's a range, give or take, right? But my book falls within that range of less than 50,000 words, so it will be a novella. Then more words will be a novel, more words will carry to different categories. So that's all it is. It's just really a categorization of the word count and how they will place it. In terms of being a first-time author, it's very, very exciting and rewarding. I didn't know it would have been so rewarding, but it's a very rewarding experience. You know, as I said, you get your book published, but I self-published. But you go through the whole process of writing, editing, formatting, cover artwork. It's a long process. And it took me 2 years to do my whole book. And at the end, you really need to celebrate yourself for the discipline that you went through, because a lot of people would spend their free time enjoying life while you dedicating yourself to a goal about creating the story for people to benefit them. So it's a very rewarding, very, very rewarding journey, and I'm just waiting to see where it goes from now, because I have a lot of projects in the line off of the book I don't want to mention, but it's a very rewarding journey, and I encourage anyone, because I never thought I would have been a writer or written a book at all. So I encourage anyone just to, once you feel that pull to try to create something, abandon yourself in it. Just throw yourself full into it, 100 into it, and see where it goes. But I never knew that I would have had a career in writing. I really never anticipated that at all.
I love how you phrased it, a career in writing. It's not simply, I have a book, I've written a book, but now it has become a career, and I think that's important to note. For a lot of authors, we spend a lot of time, especially as marketers, talking to persons about positioning, about brand positioning, and as well as an author, you also have to look at your author positioning. I mean, who am I? And what am I bringing to the public? And as an authorpreneur, as I like to call it, right, as I've coined it, you really have to look at it as a business. Your book is the product you have produced, and you are the person selling this product, right? And if you look at it that way, there's a lot more that you'll do to get the book into the hands of readers than a lot of authors think it's possible to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I love that. Tell us
because
about...
I started from scratch. I started from
Yes.
scratch where it's a brand new platform I'm trying to build, day by day, week by week, month by month. Just trying to create my brand as an author and trying to gain audience and really connect with my readers. So it's a journey. It's not just
Yeah.
you, as I said, you put out a book and expect something to happen. You have to go on the adventure.
Yes, and you have to do the work as well, especially when you're self-published. It is a decision that you have to understand what comes with it, you know? A lot of
Yes.
the marketing and the putting yourself out there, it is up to you what you do and how you do it. And I like that you go full 100 with this
Yeah.
marketing and pushing your book, and congratulations to you. I see that you were awarded I would say a memento of your first time author publishing journey by Nalis. And I do want to
Yes.
mention that Nalis has what they're calling a first time authors appreciation program. It's an annual program where they celebrate first time authors from Trinidad and Tobago and in the diaspora once you're connected to Trinidad and Tobago. And this happens every year around May. And I want to thank Nalis. This is going to be the second time, but you were able to collect your award and experience this program in Trinidad. Tell us about it and tell us how that felt when you received the award. You know, was it something you was like, oh, thanks, but you know, it was small, or was it something like you felt, you know, like somebody has recognized my work?
That is it. You see the word recognized, recognition. I don't want to go into the psychology of recognition, but people like to hear the name called. So if you're
Yeah.
back in school, either you're being called to the principal office or you're being called on stage to collect an award. So if you are accustomed to hearing the name called to the principal office, you gain a sense of pride in that. My name calling, my name calling. So the
Yes.
psychology of the name being called and being recognized, whether it's good or bad, really doesn't matter to the person. So that's what I'm saying. And the word you chose, the recognition, that's the right word, because again, I'm a brand new author. No one, at the point in time, no one knew me. I would still say no one really knows me right now. I'm still building my profile in terms of the grand scale that I really wanted to achieve. But it's good that the government, well, NALIS, they put this together and it's been used for years. And it's good that they recognize it because, again, it's a difficult journey, it's a difficult process. So just hearing your name called and receiving, as I said, a memento, it's a symbol of recognition that you did something. You are within Trinidad and Tobago's literary history now.
Yes.
You're part of a club. So it's a very important program, I would say, and I really enjoyed it and appreciated it.
Yes, I love it. I can't say enough about it because I do think as authors, the amount of work you put in, sometimes you may lose sight of the goals and the achievements. And it's nice to be able to look at that plaque and to say, you know, I don't feel all that, I don't feel all of this today, like, you know, I've this first time author, I've done something good, but this is a reminder that, you know, this happened, it did. And what I like about it, I want to thank Nalis in advance because they're going to be exhibiting the first time authors of 2024 in Tobago. And this is only the second year they'll be doing it. So they did it in 2023. They skipped 2024, but in 2025, they'll be coming back to do the display. And I have to, as they say, send greetings and big ups, right, to Curtis in Nalis. He's a librarian 3, and he is definitely, you know, a person to talk to if you're looking at the first time authors program. And what they discussed with me, we will be doing a partnership between the Tobago Writers Guild and Nalis to make sure this first time authors exhibit happens. Tobago Writers Guild is going to be at that time doing a literary book and film festival, and Nalis is going to be exhibiting the Tobago residents authors books plus the ones from, so they're bringing all the books across to Tobago to be exhibited, and I think that's fantastic. We're going on a quick break, Stuart and viewers. When we come back, we want to talk about this novella you have. I wanted you to tell us about your book cover choice and your character choice, right? And why you chose this name for your book. So, viewers,
Okay.
don't go far. We have so much juiciness to discuss coming up. You're going to miss it if you go far. So, see you in a few minutes.
This is how it's gonna go. They better look up and low, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up and low. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show.
Welcome back to Book Club Corner. My name is Stuart Greene. I'm your host for every Wednesday when we chat with authors. And today we have with us the amazing, the fantastic Stuart Fortuny. And he's chatting about his book, From Ibadan to Heliard. That name, listen, you know, when I typed in that name, they actually changed the language of the browser to Arabic.
Okay.
So
Okay.
does that name Ibadan, does that have any
Yes.
roots in that, perhaps that territory? Tell us about this name of your book and why you chose it.
Well, Ibadan is part of Nigeria. That would have been part of the whole empire pre-colonialization, and so it was a very vibrant success.
Right.
Though people in certain areas may say it's uncivilized, it was very civilized. And that's where most of the slaves would have come across from, to this Western Hemisphere, specifically Trinidad and the Caribbean. So the name From Ibadan to Heliard really signifies that journey from slavery to Heliard. And Trinidadians don't know. A lot of Trinidadians don't know. Heliard is Trinidad All Stars. So it's that journey from slavery to the Trinidad All Stars yard itself, where the pan would have already started to emerge from, rudimentary versions of the pan would have emerged from. And that is what would have really led to the steel pan development, which would have led to the Trini identity, which would have then led to our independence. So it's a journey from slavery to our independence through the victory. I keep saying it's a victory of the steel pan. You know, people say the steel pan is a symbol of resilience and resistance. Yes, 100% agree with that. But it's also now is also a symbol of victory.
Yeah, I love that imagery, that we're not just looking at resistance and revolt, but we're also looking at what was the result, and it was victorious. We got independence, right? And that we had a few milestones. When we talk about an enslaved people, the victory for that group, myself would be included in that group in terms of my heritage. That would be talking about emancipation. And when we're talking about the victory for the region, and perhaps even further afield, we're looking at independence, right? The victory from being a colonial state. And then when, you know, we take it a little further, we're looking at republicanism, right? Which gave us another layer of independence. And I always want to congratulate Barbados, the latest Caribbean state that became a republic. Kudos to you. You now have a passport that does not say, right, that you are a colony, all right, of Britain anymore. And I really love that.
Just to change the currency now.
Yeah, soon and very soon. And I
Yes,
like
just a change of currency.
yeah, and the next layer of it is that the pan, our indigenous and national instrument that was made here, right? Because and this came out of our natural resources having oil, because these are oil drums. And out of
Yeah.
having the oil drums abundantly laying all about the place, the ingenuity of our people, we were able to transform the oil drum from just being, this thing as creating garbage to now being an instrument, and an instrument, as you put it, of victory over
Victory.
all of the obstacles that we have encountered coming from
Yeah.
Ibadan, through enslavement, and now coming to be a free people. In your book, tell me about how those themes, those motifs that we just mentioned of enslavement, victory, freedom. Tell us about how you moved through those motifs in your novella with your characters, and how do you feel the reader would respond to those things, and perhaps how the readers have responded, because your book is out being sold all over the world.
Yeah. Well, in terms of the feedback I've been receiving, it all depends on the age group you're in. The older, I'm gonna say old, the more mature in our society, they
Yeah.
will read the book and they'll say, but yeah, but this is true. I remember when this happened. I remember when this happened. They really reflect on the history. It's a nostalgia for them. But to the younger generation, this is all brand new information to them. They didn't know any of this issue. People like to walk around and say, no, Trinis, we take anything. No, we take anything. But I have to remind them that, no, we don't. Oh my goodness. No, we don't. We actually stood up for a lot of things in the past. Our history, we let things go. But when we're ready to put the foot down, we do. The man always say that the hills are a kind of counterbalance for that. So they will let Port of Spain enjoy themselves. But once things get out of control, they will, as they have done in the past, many occasions, they will step in and sort of balance the scales.
Mm-hmm. I like that you mentioned the hills, because we know that during slavery, pre-emancipation, the hills in many of our Caribbean islands served as a counterpoint for resistance. They served as a place of resistance, because nobody knew the terrain as well as we did. And when we got up in there, right, when we look at Jamaica, when we look at Trinidad and Tobago in terms of our northern range, right, and our southern range as well, because we do have, there's a lot of resistance that happened in Maruga and those areas. When we do look at those areas, we see the hills as a symbol of resistance. Right? And I love that mention that you did just now about the hills in Port of Spain being a space, Lavantil, all of those spaces that, we would now categorize as, maybe not in a favorable manner, but those were, our bastions of creativity, our bastions of resilience and resistance. And we have to remember of the steel pan. So I love that.
Yeah.
And
well, in addition to that, remember these areas that we will consider hot zones now. These were the same zones that were fighting to maintain the rights of emancipation.
Mm-hmm.
If you understand what I'm saying, so after emancipation, both entities, the former slave master, the former slave, supposed to have the same rights. Same rights to express the culture, their rights to the road. Every carnival is the road. Who could go, who own the road?
Yes.
Fighting for the road, fighting to express themselves freely, basically. So these areas, after emancipation, when both parties supposed to have the same rights, and that right didn't happen, these are the areas that actually didn't bow down. They fought back and tried to maintain that we are free people. I ain't taking all that. So
yeah,
that is how we transition into what we consider hot zones. But that is a complicated discussion.
yes.
Very complicated discussion.
But I never want us to forget what they represent in terms of the goodness, the creativity,
Yes. Yeah,
our people coming together, you know. And I have spoken to many people living in those areas, Laventille, Mouvard, you know, over the Lady Hong Road, as we like to drive and view Port of Spain from that vantage point. And they talk about community. They talk
yes.
about how they pull together. They talk about how they help each other. And I think we should always remember that and hold that up as something we want to, if we've left it, return to it, you know?
Yeah.
Tell us about your book. I don't want to stray too far, but tell us about your book
Okay.
and these motifs. When we look at, you know, from Ibadan to Heliard, and the transitions, the movements in your book, how how are these characters really expressing themselves in these ways?
Well, what I did is I did all the research in terms of our history, who the slave masters were, what the plantations were producing, who were the people key in the steel pan creation by era. So in the 1800s, these were the people, the early 19, up to 1900 to 1930s, what was going on. And then section by section, but not all the characters. And all I did was really take that information, which was the story, and I created a layer to make it palatable around that story. So it's really factual information that I put a fictional spin to. So I had to create some characters to let the story flow from the 1800s. One family being the former slave master family, one family being the former slave master, and that whole back and out going on between the two families over just under 200 years, right? So it really was taking the actual, our history, our story, and putting it in a palatable novella form. So I didn't really change I didn't change any of the facts. Whatever the facts were, I just added to it with literary license, I should say.
What inspired you to write this story? This is a story, it's a novella, so we know it's a
Yes,
fiction. It's a novella because of the word count, because of the page count, right?
yes.
It's nice, crisp, moving quickly and giving you something to read, as I always like to say, something to take to the beach and chill out, right? So,
Yeah, yeah.
what inspired you to write this story? I mean, from the beginning, what was that kernel of inspiration?
Okay, well, not to depress people, but throw your mind back to when we were in COVID at the pressing time. Everyone was complaining. I'm not a complainer. I try to find something to solutions. So during COVID, I was looking, just like everyone else, I was looking at Netflix, looking at the Vikings, looking at barbarians, looking at samurai. So Vikings, we know that is European, their myth, their history, what they want to promote to the world as their story. And then samurai was the Japanese version, and then barbarians is Germania transforming into Germany. How pre-Germany was and what caused the grouping of the different tribes and sort of form Germany. So I've looked at a lot of historical shows in terms of how people position in their countries culturally, internationally. And I was wondering, well, what Trinidad one will look like. So that's when I started to do research to find out, well, what is our story? Obviously, that led back to Pan. Obviously, that led back to slavery. Obviously, that led back to certain themes. So the more I researched the information, I got the story, and I just put it out there, basically.
Yeah. And how long did it take you to write this whole thing? I mean, from start to finish, it's 2 years, you said.
2
But
years, yeah.
when did you finish writing and hand it over basically to your editor? How long was that?
Oh, the editing process, I would have. Oh, sorry. My editor, Zara Gordon, good morning.
Morning,
The
Zara.
the editing process took a couple of months. The most, I took about 4-5 months doing research, and then I spent the rest of the time doing writing, and then the last, I would say, 4 months or so doing editing. Little changes, the choice of word, choice of phrase, and that sort of thing. Because I'm a business consultant, so I don't normally write. My choice of words wouldn't really fit into a novella. So my editor was very keen on that. Certain words like subsequently and those other things, she said no. So I had to You know how you write a business
simplify
plan, a business
it.
proposal?
Yes.
Yeah, make it fit your purpose.
Yes.
So that is what I spent the last couple of months doing. So as I said, the entire thing took 2 years. I would say about 4 months, 5 months research, more than a year in terms of the writing, because the writing is not something as writers will know. You don't just sit down and write non-stop until it's done. You know, you have to take a couple. Well, for me, I have to take like a month or two off, just relax my mind, let the story bubble in my subconscious, and then come back to it, you know, because it's not something you just sit down and say, well, okay, I'm going to write this book this week. No, at least for me, it wasn't like that. So it was a long, long process.
Okay. And what I love is that your honesty about the process, about how it went, about the ups and downs, because a lot of authors, we need information. I would say, you know, soon to be authors in waiting, right? We need that information. And I want to make sure that we get that research out of our authors as they come here on Book Club Corner to share with the viewers, not just about your book, but I want you know, those persons who are thinking about writing to be able to watch the show and hear from your experience what you went through. I know you're doing quite a lot with your book marketing. Let's get into that. Tell us about how you decided where you were going to market, how you were going to market, and about your process in figuring out a strategy for your book to market it and to get it into the hands of readers.
Well, my approach, being a business consultant, is the marketing has to start, at least the marketing strategy has to start before you even write the book. So you have to know who is your target demographic. So for instance, if I'm writing a book for children, I love this example. You know, children could be either 1 to 2 or 3, or they could be 9 to 10, or they could even be teenagers. Your choice of your words, your choice of your graphics, your choice of your layout, and all of these things will differ. It's all children, but you still have to know specifically who your target demographic is, who you really want to read this book. So I had to do that before I even started the book, because I know we're in 2025. Well, I wrote the book in 2023. I know in the 2020s, people not picking up a book that is 600, 800, 1,000 pages long to read. Some would do that, but the vast majority not doing that. The purpose of my book, my demographic, is to get the Trinidadian, the Caribbean diaspora, the Trinidadian diaspora, young people to get the story. So I had to make it short, pacey, leave out certain things, but just have it flowing quickly so people could read it and grasp it quickly. Because, I mean, we need microwave time where everything has to be done.
Yes.
So, so I had to create it in a way that people could easily digest it. So even my choice of font would have been a little bit bigger than the average, clearer to read. I didn't want any obstacles, any reason for someone to say, boy, that book, I couldn't read it, boy. There's no reason you can't read the book. It's within 3 to 4 hours, you could complete the book and have a full understanding as to our cultural heritage from slavery to independence. All the individuals that took part, the Neville Drews, the Hamilton Thomas, the Sonny Roach, the Bertie Marshall, the Ellie Manette, all of these people, you get understanding all of their history and what their contribution was. You know, you understand that Eddie Manette put the rubber on the sticks, and then everyone else was like, wow, those bands singing real good. You know, everybody started incorporated in their bands, you know. So they get the whole story as to how this thing moved from a biscuit pan, because even before the oil drum, it was the biscuit drum pan, you know, and they had it convex.
Yes.
And then Ellie Manette had it concave.
Yes.
You know, so they go through that whole journey. People understand, okay, from slavery, these people took what people will say as garbage and throwaways and created an instrument, the only new instrument of the 20th century. And that instrument now is an ensemble that could compete with any European orchestra. So it's something that we don't really put much thought into, but as someone who studied it obviously for the book, I take great pride. My appreciation for steel pan and our culture has skyrocketed since I've done the book.
I love that. I have to agree with you in terms of your appreciation for culture and for the steel pan. And I didn't even know about this, what you call it, the clim pan, right?
The
in
biscuit,
terms
yeah,
the biscuit, well, the biscuit tin, not the cling pan. What am I saying?
pans
So
and
this,
so, yeah. Well,
yeah,
that's all
but
right.
any tin was going to be used. Any metal in that shape has
Mhm.
been used to make a sound, to get, to mimic a drum in terms of its look, and to get a sound out of it. You're just getting a lot more musical instrumental sounds out of it, a lot more notes out of this
And
instrument.
even before the biscuit drum, there was the tambour bamboo.
Yes.
So the tambour bamboo would have been the bamboo, you cut it, you put you bust your hole, and you have your stick, and you're knocking it, and they're going on the road. That would
Yes.
have attracted hundreds of people. And then when it started to really move into the steel pan, now when that steel pan hit the road, there's thousands of people, unpoliceable crowds, which is what was able to get the people to really push forward for this populist movement and this political movement to get independence. Because that steel pan, you see it every year for carnival. Once that pan start to play, people going crazy. Just that vibration, that frequency hitting in your chest is a different thing to everything else that we had before. So that is what really was able to drive that force forward.
Hmm. You talking there about the vibrations as it hits your being, and that recognition of, something great.
Yes.
You may not even really fully understand what it is you're hearing, or where it came from, but I think once you start to hear that music, you're listening to something great. And
Yes.
it you talking about it like that took me back to one of my, I would say, a very emotional experience that I had in Barbados. They have every year something called Pan and Isan, and they bring over every year the winners of the panorama competition. They bring over two or three bands for Pan and
Right.
Sand, right, which happens during their Kadooment. And I was there for school when we heard there was Pan and Sand, and then we saw that there was going to be Tobago bands there. A few of us said, well, we have to go now, right? And this was a contingent of Caribbean students, right? Because that's one of the commonalities between the Caribbean islands. We all know about this pan. We all experience it. And when we got there, we were on the sand with everybody else, and the bands were playing, and some of them, they had the pan around their neck, and they were snaking their way through the crowd, and people were there with their picnic baskets and their drinks, and some were looking very bougie and stush, and some were looking very beachy and chill. It was such a nice experience. But when our Tobago band started, right? And they started by playing one of our popular calypsos. That's all I remember. I almost started to cry. I was like, I miss home so much. I want to go home. As soon as they started, and my friends was like, "What happened to you?" I was like, "You would never understand." And I think that's one of the experiences as a Trinbagonian, hearing the pan. If you no longer live home, hearing that pan, hearing your soca music, hearing sometimes even the ballads that we know so well, the Christmas soca parang and all of that, hearing that pan music, especially when you're not home, it hits you in the gut in such a
Yes.
way that I don't think anything else has been able. I mean, if getting a doubles when you don't live home, it does hit you in your guts too, but not like that. And I think that
Yeah.
was such.
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe that it did that to me. I didn't expect it, and I think that's
Things we take for
something.
granted. Things we take
Yeah,
for granted, like for instance, right now, Carnival. So again, so all the foreigners, all the Trinidadian that's pour out in the snow right now, they feel
yeah.
exactly what you felt at that point in time. They're crying right now. They wish they were in the hot Trinidad, taking in this heat, which I am taking right now. They're taking in
Yes.
that heat and listening to the music and the freedom to be on the road, expressing yourself.
Yes,
That
and
freedom, that
they just
road.
had they had the medium bands in Tobago
Mm.
at the stadium, the Dwight York Stadium, this past Sunday, and let me tell you, this Cats and Jammers won again.
Yes,
Congratulations, the Cats and Jammers. medium band. Again, I tell you, such talent coming out of Tobago, 60,000 people strong and counting. And this is one of the things, proud to be a Trinbagonian. It's not just about, panorama happening in Trinidad. It's also panorama happening in small pockets all over the nation, as a Twin Island Republic, happening in South, happening in North, happening in the West, happening in Central, happening in Tobago. I think Carnival is one of those things that, ties us together, brings us together as a people, and makes us remember, who we are in terms of our joint commonalities. We're not just a tapestry of different people, but we are pieces of each other come together in one. And I think Carnival does that so beautifully. Listen,
because Carnival allows us to it allows us to take history out of the museum, and it allows us to take history out of the textbook. So
I love that.
When it's true. When you see a midnight robber speaking the way the midnight robber speaks, his vocabulary, his diction, everything.
Yes.
The midnight robber initially started off as a mockery to the slave masters. So that hasn't changed. So if you want to understand what were the word choices the slave master would have been using at the point in time, how their flow of the language would have been. This is not midnight robber.
Yes.
And this is 200 years ago. So they maintain the history. When we again still Carnival, you just need to go in Port of Spain and take a look around, and you see history, living fossils. It's very, very important. Very, very important.
I love that.
People need to understand
and
that.
speech ban. I mean, I can't forget speech ban as we talk about, this oral history and this oral tradition in terms of the midnight robbers, in terms of speech ban. This community telling of stories and commentary. I love that. We're going on a quick break.
The Jab Malassi has chains and locks on his head. He's representing the slave at the time. But we just walk past, oh God, that is black people. Sorry. That is poor people. That is behind the British people thing,
Yeah.
We don't accept it and appreciate it as to what it really, really, really represents. People come from all over the world to watch this for a reason. That's all I was saying.
Stuart, you've hit so many nails on your head, I can't even tell you. You're building a whole house now.
I start to get passionate. See, this is raised my temperature.
I like that you've raised our temperature. And listen, we're going on a quick break because I need to have some of this wine.
Yes.
But when we come back, Stuart, you're going to be reading to us, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so we're going on a quick break, and when we come back, viewers, Mr. Stuart Fortuny, the author of From Ibadan to Heliard, is going to be reading aloud to us, and I can't wait for one. So see you in a few minutes. Get back here quickly, don't go far.
The Tobago Rhythm and Soul Festival. Feel the beat. Embrace the calm. On Easter Weekend 2025, Tobago is the place to be. From April 17th to 20th, the rhythm, the soul of Tobago. On Thursday, April 17th, get ready for a worship experience at the Shore Park Complex with melodies from heaven. Melodies from heaven. Then on Saturday, 19th April, immerse yourself in the sun, sea, and sand at the Buku Seafood and Jazz Festival, featuring legends of R&B. On Sunday, 20th April, we bring the curtains down at Parade Grounds, Dwight York Stadium for Fusion. Get your tickets on islandetickets.com now or visit TobagoFestivalsCommission.com for more info. Tobago Rhythm and Soul Festival 2025. Feel the beat. Embrace the calm.
Wet me down,
welcome back to you viewers, wherever you may be viewing from the comfort of your own home, or if you're chilling somewhere, wherever you may be viewing from. We want to thank you for being with us here on Book Club Corner. And we're chatting today with the amazing Stuart Fortuny, and we're talking about his book, From Ibadan to Heliard. And you're going to be reading for us today an extract from your book, yes?
Yes.
Are you ready?
Brief
'Cause
extract.
listen, I'm ready.
Okay, let's go.
Very good.
All right. So again, based on the theme we discussed before in terms of the importance of Carnival as being a museum, a virtual, a real museum of fossils out of living fossils. Sorry, I will read this excerpt. It's very brief. Soon the Carnival celebrations drew near. Carnival was taboo for Billy's parents, but he was excited to fully experience life in a dry river. Ruth, Cap, Hamel and Billy all agreed to join the Heliard band. On the night of the Canballet, Billy found himself venturing into the heart of the yard for the very first time. Most villagers already knew his name, and they all wanted to take a drink with Ruth's boyfriend. As Billy obliged, looking around, his eyes widened in amazement at the grandeur of the costumed crowd. Each individual, including Ruth, Cap, and Hamel, had metamorphosed into their preferred embodiment of villainy. Indians, robbers, devils, imps, vampires, mummies, and even matadors. Amongst the throngs, a few men boldly chose to masquerade as women, their flamboyance adding another layer of intrigue to the already overwhelming spectacle. For Billy, it was a sight unlike any he had ever seen, and his cowboy costume left him feeling out of place amidst the revelry. Billy was unfamiliar with some of the more enigmatic characters and turned to Hamel, eager for an explanation. "What are those costumes all about?" he asked. Hamel replied, "Them is the characters from back in slavery. Them dragging the chains, wearing locks and keys, and carrying the pitchforks is Jab Molassie. The man speaking funny over there is the midnight robber, reminding us of how them masters used to talk. If you see someone with diamond mirrors on their costume, they're granting access for the ancestors. The one with the big heart-shaped pattern on his chest, he here to suck up all the evil spirits. And them on stilts is the Mokodrombi, the spirit of Africa, flying and watching over we. Them costumes all represent we history over here." With Hamel's explanation, a veil lifted, and Billy's eyes sparkled with excitement. He knew this night would be unforgettable. As the evening wore on and the air was charged with indulgence and spirits, Billy felt like he was part of something bigger than himself. So guys, I just wanted to touch on that piece there, which kind of gives us an explanation as to some of the costumes, what they really represent.
I
think
love,
that really
I
fits into
love
our
that excerpt.
conversation.
Listen, you got me so excited there. I, I was waiting for more. I love that you left me on a little cliffhanger there, because I so want to know what Billy up to. One of the things I have always marveled about Port of Spain is that space called the Dry River. What an oxymoron. Yes. I mean, what a contradiction. A dry river? I mean, how can a river be dry? Yeah. A river is full of water.
Well, that riverbed, if you're familiar with dry river, most times the water level is very low. So that's when you actually, when you see
people walking there all the time.
Yeah,
you see people walking there.
That's where the bands used to play. They used to be throwing all the, that's on the river silt, on the beds, because nobody couldn't go in Port of Spain. So they used to have to hide in the riverbed and play, and go up on the hills and play. But whenever the police come to raid, the police would have been stoned, because the same thing I said, they don't know the terrain. We pelting them on with big stone. They had to leave. We do know thing in our zone. So the history, I love our history. I love our history. To me, it's better and more vibrant and richer than plenty of the history we celebrate.
Well, I would say 100%. Plenty of, especially the colonial history that we do commemorate and celebrate.
I didn't want to specify. Yeah, that exactly.
There's so much. We have so much that we don't have time to be looking at other spaces and commemorating and celebrating other memories. You know, that's
Yes.
something we have to talk about in terms of making sure that we have created spaces to celebrate our, not just our musical icons and our sporting icons, but also our literary icons. Stuart, one of these days, perhaps in the near future, we may see Stuart Fortuny Drive, right?
Yeah. To
Right?
be honest, I try to get a name into Napuna renamed to CLR James Street. From
Oh,
what is this right now?
lovely.
Ward Street. Ward Street. I did some research and no one knows the original Ward Street. And even if it
Mm,
was, they found someone finds the history and they could explain to me. CLR James Street is a lot better. Even Ozanville Park, CLR James Park. CLR James used to live in Tunapuna. I used to look down and he used to talk about how from his porch he could see how he children played in the park. You
yeah.
know, what is Ozanville? I might be somewhat disrespectful to Mr. Ozanville, whoever he may be. But I think we need to make some adjustments.
Yes.
Not Stuart
Yeah.
Fortuny Road or CLR Road, CLR James Road.
Stuart, before we have to head out, please tell us and the
Okay.
viewers, where can we find your books? Well, your book.
Okay.
Where can we find it?
Well, it's available generally okay, let me start with internationally. So Amazon, right? So Amazon, you can get the paperback or you can get the ebook. And then if you want to get it locally, you could either check me, I could give it to you, your signed copy. You don't get the signed copy in the stores. That's the only problem with the stores. Then you could get it at Charon's, RIK, paper-based, Metropolitan Bookstore, Scribbles and Quills, Blue Edition. I hope I'm not missing out anyone. But generally, it's available. It's available.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
you want a signed copy, you could always contact me and I will sign it and personally deliver it to you.
Very good. We're going to share your social media handles and your contact information so that people can find you. But our good friend, we have to shout out Blue Edition. Blue Edition is
Yes.
what they call a craft shop as well as a bookstore.
A
And
culture shop.
yes, I love that. So I think we
Yes.
have to make sure, we talk about Blue Edition, our good friends at Blue Edition. And they're right there in Tunapuna. They're close to you, Stuart.
That was the first store. I could have put it in any store, but I put it there specifically first because it's my neighbor. Not
Yes.
specifically my neighbor, but we Tunapuna to Tunapuna, so I tried to build that relationship first before I even reached outside. So that was
Yes.
the first store to ever take my book. So much love to Blue Edition.
Yeah, and one of the things I love before we go, because I have to say this, I love that part of your marketing strategy wasn't only to adults. I saw that you went to a school. Tell us about this
Yeah.
quickly.
Well, I am an author, yes, but I consider myself, or I try to position myself as an activist author, not just an author. It's more important to me to get my message out to improve and help shape the minds of people as opposed to getting a book sale. Books selling for $200, that not making me a millionaire. But being able to help shape and put that confidence in the youth that other people might consider us a small, people only have descriptive terms for our country. But when you understand our history and our heritage, you understand how powerful we are as a people, you now should be able to take that and understand, okay, well, I have something to live up to. It's not just about being out here enjoying myself and doing whatever crime or whatever. It's about me understanding the history that my forefathers and my ancestors went through, all the struggle, everything that I abandoned to reach to where we are now, all the pathway we give up, hoping we'll be accepted by certain societies that should never accept us, And now you understand what your position really is moving forward. You know what the past was, you know what you have to do moving forward. So I consider myself an activist author in that sense.
I couldn't say it better. I love that you are so passionate about our history and our culture and sharing it. And your book can be found in the Central Bank Museum, is it not?
Sorry, Central Bank, I love you too. Yes, it is in the Central Bank Museum. It is also available at MITCO, the music instruments of Trinidad and Tobago company that manufactures steel pan, that brand new, beautiful,
Right.
innovative building. Yeah, so you could buy a steel pan and get the understanding of the history of the steel pan as well. You could
Where's
bundle the
Mitco?
package.
Where's Mitco,
As in Diego
Stuart?
Martin.
Okay,
As
very
in
good.
Diego Martin in the industrial estate up on that side. close to
Okay.
Wendy Fitzroy Boulevard on that side there by the police station. Yeah.
Okay.
So as I said, I've been out there promoting, trying to build relationships, trying to build some strategic partners that it's mutually beneficial. It does benefit me, it does benefit you. Both of us have
Yeah.
to win. So that's what I've been trying to do.
I totally agree. Book fairs, have you been able to market your book, promote your book at any book fairs and events? Tell the authors about some of that. Give them some insight into how that works and how beneficial it may be or may not be in terms of the marketing strategy for a local book.
Well, book fairs, to me, any chance you get to meet and interact with your reader is a good opportunity. So, like for instance, last year we did Tobago Writers Guild. We did the Bocas Lit Fest. So we had
Yes.
a nice exposure there. And they get a chance to stand up and speak to people and hear about their book, explain your book, and have a conversation and really build a relationship with them. Again, you can't expect to be, not just as an author, but just as a human being. You can't just expect to everything be for your benefit. You have to go out there, meet people, see how you could help them, see how they could help you, and try to build relationships based on that. So the book fairs are very important. And then again, in terms of going back to me, a brand new author, So I had to spend a lot of time, and I'm still doing it, building my author platform. So I can't just expect, okay, I write a book, but people at the end of the day will say, well, who are you? Why are we even studying you? Who cares about your book? I have to, no, a real, right?
Yeah.
You have to go there and do the work. So the book fairs will allow you to create content which you could now use to market and show people, hey, this was my last event, and this is what I was doing right now. And then you get some more content in your future. You using one piece of content to get another piece of content, and you start one to
Yes.
get another piece of content. So even the first time authors program from Nalis, I was able to capture that as, okay, I received something from Nalis, take more photos, do more promo, and let people know, okay, well, this happened. So now I included that in my marketing package to the next person approaching. And then I'll include whatever I do with them to the next person approaching. And include what I do with them to the next person. So it's just building and building. And all of a sudden you look back. Like if I look at my Instagram page over the last 2 years, I'm like, wow, I did all that in 2 years.
Yeah.
It adds. You don't just do everything in one day. You have to go from
And
one
you
to the other.
were recently on the Logos boat as well, right? The Logos Hope, which is the book ship as it came to Trinidad and Tobago, and we have a picture capturing your experience there on the Logos boat. You were there
I
with.
hope it's a good photographer.
It is. It's
Yes.
fantastic.
There we go.
Yeah, and that's your book there.
Latoya. Hello, Latoya.
Yes.
And hello, Jewel.
I really had a good time with you all on the book ship, the Logos Hope, when it came here to Trinidad and Tobago. So we were in Tobago in December, then we went across to Trinidad in January. And I love that we were
Yes.
able to showcase our local authors, because a lot of times the visitors think it's only about the foreign books. They really don't know there are quite a number of local books that they can partake in for their literary pleasure. And I love that.
Yeah.
Stuart,
What I liked about that is that we were able to also do the panel discussion, which was able to discuss the
oh
importance of
yes.
literature to culture, which is a conversation that I have even been having. I had a meeting with a book club on Sunday, and that generally was the conversation I had, the importance of literature to culture, which is a very important thing that people need to continue to discuss and continue to really take into themselves. I mean, culture, literature is what saves puts things in a time capsule for us. That 50
Yes.
years, 100 years from now, you could look back, like, take a bad example, Gone with the Wind. You could look at that now and be like, wow, that's the technology they had, that's the clothing they had, that's everything. You could just look at it and understand that's the time capsule of the time. And our books, all of us who create literature, are time capsules of what we're trying to preserve for the future to look back on and grasp some information from. So it's that topic, that literature and culture, it was very, very good. So we did that at the logo ship in addition to the open mic. So that whole
Yes.
experience at Logos was great.
It was wonderful. Stuart, it was just as lovely having you here with us today on Book Club Corner, and I know our viewers were able and are able to get quite a lot of information from watching this episode in terms of your journey into authorship. And I want to put out there for our viewers, those of you who are thinking of writing a book, listen, follow Mr. Stuart Fortuny. You may not have thought you had a book in you, but here he is with his amazing book. Get writing. Start writing. It's in you, and you can do it at your own pace. There's no rush. Okay? So start writing. If you get anything out of this, let it be one, start your writing, whether it's journaling or whether it's an actual book you want to do, start it, right? We're ready for you on Book Club Corner to have you one of these days when your book is published. Go ahead, Stuart.
And one more thing. Use professionals when needed. Don't edit your own book. Don't try to design your own book unless you have those skills. But even for the editing, I won't advise it. But the artwork, if you're a graphic artist, you could do that. But the editing, your eyes seeing the same thing, you skip things. You don't pick up everything because you're reading it 5-6 times. Just certain things just pass in your eyes. Let someone else's eyes look at your manuscript. Hire professionals, and when you hire them, allow them to be professionals. You hire them for a reason.
Stuart, on that note, we're heading out. Don't do your editing yourself. That's the end here for us. We're so happy. Yeah, we're so happy to have had you. And cheers to you, Stuart, and your journey, your continued journey writing. And cheers to you, the viewers. Thank you for being here on Book Club Corner and for tuning in with us for our 60 minutes of chatting with different authors across the Caribbean and the diaspora. We look forward to seeing you next week, Wednesday, when you'll be back here with us here, right on Tobago Updates, looking and speaking to and grabbing information from another local author. Keep reaching for the stars and see you next week, Wednesday.
You're viewing Tobago Updates Television, your exclusive gateway to Tobago, broadcasting the beauty of this island paradise to the world.
Good morning and welcome to Youth Wednesdays on Tobago Updates to our varying viewers on our varying platforms, Facebook, YouTube, and 102 on AMPLIA. Special good morning to you. Now, it's International Women's Day and your so-called favorite youth host is not with us this morning, but this morning we do have a young lady, a very brilliant, a very pretty young lady, and she's here to host with me this morning. So let me introduce you to Miss Janae Jones. Good morning to you, Janae.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Janae Jones, and it is a pleasure to be here this morning.
It's a pleasure to have you with me this morning. I know normally you are on the opposite side of the table because, we had a few discussions before, but I'm really happy that you're at the side of me this morning to, just bring in the youthful vibe about International Women's Day, or should I say the week that we're celebrating ahead of the day that just happened. So, Janae, what does International Women's Day mean to you?
Well, I believe it's a celebration of all women, females on a whole actually, and it's just a day to show appreciation for them for all that they have done and all the work that they are continuing to do.
All right. I join you in those sentiments. International Women's Day, it brings out what the woman is. We have started contributing to society in major ways, more ways than we used to. And, it's just, I'm happy that there is a day to commemorate such, right? So I join you in those sentiments once again. All right, so before we continue, we'll have our news in 90 seconds. Here is your news in 90 seconds for Wednesday, 12th March 2025. Progressive Democratic Patriots, PDP, leader Watson Duke cautioned Prime Minister-designate Stuart Young not to act prematurely, reminding him he is yet to be officially appointed. Duke criticized Young's pledge to strengthen domestic violence laws, implying it undermined outgoing Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley's efforts. He warned Young against suggesting past efforts were insufficient and accused him of verbal diarrhea. Duke urged Young to focus on issues like the better wages for domestic workers instead. He advised Young to wait for an official appointment before making bold legislative promises. UNC Senator Anil Roberts supports Trinidad and Tobago's dragon gas deal with Venezuela, but insists it must be properly negotiated with a duly elected Venezuelan president. He criticized Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley's and Energy Minister Stuart Young, claiming their dealings with Maduro lacked transparency. Rowley defended the deal, warning of economic consequences if Trinidad and Tobago loses its OFAC license. Roberts argued that Kamala Persad-Bissessar would handle negotiations better and pledged to reopen the Pointe-a-Pierre refinery. Persad-Bissessar also proposed a new body for local energy service companies to engage directly with the government. In some Caribbean news, Jamaican reggae legend Calvin Scott, famously known as Coco T, has passed away at the age of 65. He suffered cardiac arrest and had been battling lymphoma since 2019, along with pneumonia in the past 6 months. His wife, Malvia Scott, confirmed his passing, stating that the veteran singer died early Tuesday at a hospital in Broward, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Coco T's death marks the loss of a beloved figure in reggae music, leaving behind a legacy cherished by fans worldwide. And that was your news in 90 seconds. So, Janae, today it is everyone's favorite part of the morning, and that is the birthday segment. So we'll go straight into that. Let's get into our birthdays this morning. First up, we have the one and only Pastor Lowell Otley. A happy birthday to you, Pastor Otley. Now, I spoke to him prior to coming on to the show this morning, and he expressed, that this day is reserved for his birthday, a God-given day that God has blessed him with a new year. And I'm joining him in saying that you should have that much birthday blessings and that God takes you through this day. Miss DeRosa Kennedy. Happy birthday to you, Miss DeRosa Kennedy, from the Youth Wednesday team here at Tobago Updates. Miss Kamaria Jones, a happy birthday